Hey, it's Gene from Staple Wasp. We wanted to go through you receiving your starter pack via UPS, and let's open up the box and see what you're finding. So we tape them and box them with a lot of care, knowing that UPS, is going to handle this because it's fairly heavy package, probably about 70 pounds. But we package it so your product is going to come in good shape and ready for you guys to use. So I'm opening up the box, and I'll actually just tip it forward for you so you can see what we're seeing in the box. Starter pack is basically 1,000 staples. Box is upside down, but it's 1,000 staples and 1 wasp gun. Packed pretty tightly, so it's going to make the rigors of UPS getting to you. So I'm just going to unpack this and kind of go through, hey, this is what I got, and here's what I can expect when I open this box. Grab the staples. I'm going to pull out our Staple Wasp. I'm going to set this box aside so we can see a little more packaging from us. So here's your Staple Wasp gun. Right now they have basically a twine tied to it just to keep it compressed. It goes in a smaller box. So we're just gonna take this white piece off, and Sam does a good job back at the shop of making sure this takes a little while and that it's done well. So we'll see if we can do it. I also can go a faster route and maybe just cut this. All right, now that has freed up our driver. You can see that we can depress it now where it was at the bottom position when it was shipped. We see our gun, staple chamber, what is putting pressure on our staples to feed into the system, and our patented removable jam plate. So this is all stuff that you'll see. You can see that it's lubricated already out of the box, which is something that we'll go into a little bit later as far as maintenance on this gun. So the tension bar is that sound of a click is a good tension on this, meaning that my removable jam plate isn't going to fall out, and that it's not too tight that it's restricting staple access. I'll just pop open the box of Staple Wasp staples. These are 1,000 staples, clipped in 50s. So you see that's what a fresh box looks like. Okay, so we've unpacked our staples and our Staple Wasp gun. First thing I'm going to do is just drop a clip of staples on our apron. Our constant tension spring, our pusher, is going to go forward and move our staples into our chamber. So I have a couple plates here. The staples are now moved into the chamber, and basically we have a drive shaft and knife. We're going to come down and we can shear a staple off. Basic functionality of the Staple Wasp gun is basically how the knife works. Taking the pressure off of the staples, I'm going to open up the chamber, take the removable jam plate off, and I want you to see what is shearing your staples, and that is this blade. It's going to come down when it's shearing a staple is presenting itself in the chamber, and we're shearing it off. That's a full stroke. You notice that the blade is all the way down to the bottom. That's a full stroke that's going to eject your staple out of the gun and into the ground. So now you have your Staple Wasp ready to run. Some of the things that I'll go into is just initial use information hanging from the gun. You want to take a look at that and take a look at some of the tips that we have for a gun and to service it out in the field. I would say that it's a good idea once we start using our gun to use something like a WD-40 or similar type of parts fluid cleaner, and we keep our drive rod. Lubricated by moving the spring up and down, getting at the drive rod so it runs smoothly. You can also use some spray on the staple apron itself. The staples are sliding on this into the chamber, so we can lubricate that top and bottom rods, as well as take out our jam plate, our removable jam plate, And we can wipe down inside the chamber as well. Spray it down and wipe down the inside of the chamber. That basically just keeps our gun lubricated in the field. And anything lubricated when you're pushing steel through a chamber is going to help us. One of the other notes that I have is for people is that you'll want to take an Allen wrench and run it over these screws for sure once a week, just to make sure that any of them haven't, if we're putting parts cleaner on this gun, that we're not loosening or breaking down the Loctite in the gun, and those set screws are backing out. One of the set screws that I pay particular attention to when servicing the gun, running over the gun with an Allen wrench, is our handle set screw. That is one that we red Loctite at when we manufacture this, when we assemble the gun, and we want to make sure that that doesn't back out and our handle doesn't loosen. A loose handle is going to allow more leverage, and sometimes we'll snap that set screw if it does loosen up. So we want to make sure that we check that once a week as well. And you can add red Loctite to it as well. The only time you're going to want to remove this is if you're disassembling the gun. So, and that would be just a small torch and heat the neck or the bottom of the set screw. It'll break down that Loctite and it'll back out a lot easier for you. All right, let's take a look at our Staple Wasp gun and just get ready for us to put a staple in the ground. I have a firing pad here I'm going to use as simulating the ground, but I'm sliding my staple pack forward into the staple chamber, putting our constant tension spring on it so it's feeding into our chamber. We have our lever action is clipped, so our plate is in place. This is basically the angle that you would like to use, a user would like to have putting staples in the ground. You could say like a 45-degree angle in front of the installer. One of the things that you'll see on this gun is that we have forward stickers on the gun and arrows that are basically saying, always run this carriage forward, this in front of you, never between your feet. And the reason being, between your feet, the back of this staple apron will hit the ground each time that you're doing it if you're running staple between your feet, and it will get mud and eventually do some damage to your staple apron if it's hit hard enough. So always 45-degree angle, but always staple carriage forward in front of you, and our signage will help with that for the first time. I'm going to put just a staple in this firing pad as an example. There's a staple in the pad. I'm doing it with my hands. We have about an inch of play on this gun before the knife hits the staple, so I'll get a little faster run at it. But that's basically 3 staples into our pad. So one of the things we want to show you is what causes a double staple jam. And that is not using the full stroke that we discussed, but using a half stroke. You leave a staple in the chamber. There's a staple halfway up in this chamber. You don't clear it, and you come up and you grab a second staple. Now you're going to feel resistance in the chamber. You have a double staple jam because we used a short stroke and left two staples in the chamber. So how do we clear that? So that is one of the reasons that we made the removable jam plate. I'm going to take the tension off the staples. I'm gonna open our pressure or our lever action. I'm going to pull the front plate off, and you can see that we have 2 staples that fell out of there. And that's the most common thing people call me on is, hey, I just got my new gun. I have it out in the field, and it's jammed. And it keeps jamming. It's normally because they are short stroking the gun. Once we clear that jam, we can feed the staples back forward, put a tension back on, and we're back up and running. So the second sort of jam, we went through a short stroke jam where there was 2 staples left in the chamber. And then the other type of jam that you're going to run into is if you hit a really hard, like a rock or a root or something that rolls a pin up in our staple chamber. And we've done that. We hit a rock, we felt the resistance on the hammer, we couldn't drive it all the way down. I flip over the gun and I take a look at it. Looks like a pretty good jam that I have there. Both legs going off to the right side of the gun. So that is just basically a regular what I would call a regular jam, what you're mostly going to encounter, and you want to clear that the exact same way that you cleared the double jam. Our staple already has fallen out. It was rolled up in here. It looks something like this in the chamber. So now it's cleared. We just do the same thing we did with the double staple jam, is we put our removable jam plate back on. We move our staples into the staple chamber, put our tension back on. And again, now we use a full stroke, and you hear the clack at the bottom, staple in the ground. Another fact on the Staple Wasp gun is that it's completely parts replaceable, 100% parts replaceable. It's a component tool. And therefore, like wear parts like our inside and outside chamber plates, in 2 years or after 100,000 staples, you might look at the wear inside and say, hey, I'm going to replace those. You can order them online or call Staple Wasp direct.